Hola, soy Carmen Salarcón. Bienvenidos al Mirador del Éxito, un espacio para que brillemos juntos.
Hello, good night to everyone, and welcome to Mirador del Éxito. This is a weekly session where we gather together to discuss the different tools that we have to activate the success and also to learn from people that have achieved success in any areas of their life. The topic of this week is transformational leadership. We all live in a constant world that is changing every time. And indeed, the last couple of months with COVID, we have experienced quite a lot of change, changing how we work, changing how we connect with other people, changing even how we live. So transformational leadership style could help us to go through the change and also support our teams when we are doing a transformation or when transformation is needed. So our special guest of today is someone that I truly admire, personally and professionally. Not only because he has led successful transformations all over the world with a significant impact in the businesses, but also because on the personal side, he's a leader that has truly inspired me with his vision, his energy, his passion, and what is more important, with that continuous drive to raise the bar in everything that he does. So welcome, Stephane Jacqmin, to our Mirador del Éxito.
Hi, Carmenza. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for joining. So we'll have people joining also this session. This is a live event. We already have some people connected. So please remember that this is a discussion and don't miss the opportunity to get insights and answers from Stephane. And please post your questions. If you have any question, you prefer to do it in Spanish or in English, that will be fine. We will just translate. So thank you, Stephane, for connecting. And the topic that we are actually discussing today, it's a very important one because we all as leaders need to go through times of transformation. So you have worked in different industries, all over the world, literally, working companies like Unilever, Danone, Reckitt, Sanofi, and you have led successful transformations in all the places, impacting the businesses, but also impacting the teams and the culture. So when you reflect about this journey, what are those key drivers of success that have helped you when you were running those transformations?
Well, many drivers, right? But what I would thinking about your question would be first to understand who are the people you're dealing with. Getting to know the people, understanding what drives them, so to speak, and making sure that you build a strong relationship. I think the relationship is important because obviously, if you want to engage people, you need to have a relationship, and the broader the relationship, the more you can engage them. A second driver is obviously to be clear as to where you want to go, what's your agenda, where do you want to land, so to speak, as an ultimate destination. So it's about projecting yourself into a few years down the road and try to imagine where you want to be with your team, with the people, but also with the business. And obviously by connecting both elements of my answer, the people to the vision you have and the agenda you have, you can engage them and hopefully deliver the results that you're expecting. So that's has been my way of leading transformation, is by being clear on the agenda, connecting and engaging the people on that agenda, and therefore bringing the results that we expect.
Mm-hmm. Well, you talk a lot about that engaging the teams, and I think it's something that these transformational leaders needs to do, of course, to engage and involve teams within the transformation. But how do you get that connection? You talk about creating relationship, but is there any tip or anything that you could share with all of us about how you really drive that engagement with the teams?
Well, I try to spend proper time with each and every one, and obviously the amount of time I would spend would vary depending on who I'm dealing with. But I would try to invest time to make sure I get to know the people. I would say I would do this with quite a high level of energy. I think energy is something that you can pass to someone, and naturally, as I bring them on board of my agenda with the right level of energy, they become naturally engaged. The more they get to know me and I get to know them, and I understand which points to activate, so to speak, which lever to activate to engage them, the more I'll be successful at engaging them on my agenda. So it's a combination of things, I would say. There's no magic bullet, right? But truly investing time into getting to know the people, doing this with passion and with your own level of energy, I think is critical as well, I would say.
Okay. Well, so you have lived in so many places, really, I think in all regions all over the world. So can you maybe think about, a transformation that didn't go that well, or maybe a story that, you learned from what happened, but it was not successful at the end of as you were expecting?
Yeah, well, I've been through many transformation, and I think the most difficult one were probably the first ones in a way, because I didn't have the experience that I have today. The one of them was the setup of a joint venture with three companies, which I did in Belgium a long time ago. I think it was 2004. And it was put in place, but then the joint venture was stopped after a few years. So I consider this not a success, even if by that time I was not in charge of that joint venture, and I was in a different country. I think part of the mistake was to try to bring three parties to the same agenda. These joint ventures with another company are always difficult to lead and to manage. When you have three companies with three different agendas, it's even more complicated. And obviously, I've learned from that experience.
Okay, well, I understand. And you talk also about, the need of having energy when we are doing transformation. And I think something I admire from you as well is that amount of energy that you always have. So what is the secret? Where did you source that energy, or how you recharge yourself?
Well, there's many secrets behind the high level of energy, right? So part of it is driven to I would say the life balance that you have, right? Having a good night's sleep, eating healthily, being balanced overall, so to speak, in who you are, what you do, what you eat, how much you exercise also is critical. So that comes from there initially. The other element that drives the energy is the ambition I have to carry my agenda. I take ownership of my agenda, and then obviously I want to make this agenda happen, and I energize myself, by my own agenda, and therefore the level of energy that you can see day in day out. So there's a natural drive, I would say, that comes from the ambition I have. I would say on top of this balanced life that I have, that I try to keep despite all the hecticness of day-to-day life.
Well, that's true. Well, you mentioned a very powerful word that is called balance, and we always say that to achieve really success, you also need to have a balance in all areas of your life. So you have been very successful professionally, and you have demonstrated, in all of the works that you have been doing. So how you also get that success in all areas of your life? How you get that balance, as you were saying?
Well, by spending the proper time. One area where I think I've achieved success is in the way I build a family with my wife, and the way we raised our kids. Um, you know, we've been clear as to what we wanted to do, and which kind of education we wanted to give to our children, which kind of experience we wanted them to go through, and by being clear upfront, so to speak, it helped obviously to achieve that objective, right? So to get there, we obviously had to communicate. We had to talk along that journey at the beginning, but also during the journey. No, it's been a 25 years journey. We've been married for 25 years, and we have grown-up kids now. But it's been constant communication, which I think is critical with each and every one, not only with your wife or your partner, obviously, but with your co-workers at the same time.
Oh, that's true. Well, for the people that are joining, don't forget to post your questions if you have any. Don't miss the opportunity to learn from someone with expertise from like Stephane. Okay, Stephane, and just I have a question as well, because we're in a constant evolution, as we were saying. Transformational leadership, it's also about transforming ourselves. So how do you think you have evolved or transformed as a leader, and what has triggered that evolution as well?
Well, initially, I would say the first transformation I went through was driven by some training programs. It was back at Unilever, where I was sent into some training program with some coach, and obviously benefiting from the first 360 exercise and this kind of things, and discovering all the sides of my personality, the understanding the impact I have on people, understanding the shadow I leave behind me, and so on and so forth. And as I discovered that, I started to get quite animated by this, because I could see where this was not fake in a way. It was speaking to me. It was real stuff. So I enjoy that. I enjoy improving and trying to improve who I am, so to speak, and how I behave with people. And obviously, then I started to listen to feedback, and I open up for feedback. I had various coach, I had various mentors in my careers, but basically listening to people and accepting the reality, which is that I'm not perfect and there's some bad side of me as well, helped me to improve and progress along that journey. So keeping an open ear to what people around you say is actually very important in a way, because obviously that helps you to grow personally as an individual and within a community that are the people that surround you.
That's true. Well, and you talk about feedback, and the relevance that feedback can have for all of us, because it gives us that self-awareness that is needed as well, to understand how are we positioned and what is the impact that we're having in other people. But sometimes to give feedback is very difficult, especially when the feedback is an opportunity feedback. So how do you manage that? And I know that you are a very direct person, and that's something that is very powerful from you as well. But what would you advise all of us on how we could just give those strong messages, and how we could really help with the feedback and add value to other person when there is an opportunity area?
Well, it's always difficult to start in a way, but what I've learned over the years, and I've learned this from a coach of mine. His name was Jan Locke, and he taught me a few things. And one of the things he taught me was basically to give balanced feedback. Why? Because no one is dark or white, so to speak. In each and every one, you have positive things and you have less positive things that can be improved. So the concept behind balanced feedback is to give feedback positively first, and start by expressing what you want to see in terms of behavior, but also what you get in terms of behavior, and say, what I get is exactly what I want to see. And that's obviously a way to start a conversation positively. Now, building on that, you can also start moving the needle and say, this is also what I want, but what I don't get. And then evolving from that position, you move to a third place where you say, these are the behaviors I don't want to see, but I still get from you. So it's about mixing the positives with the negatives. It's about starting with the positive first. It's about being clear on what you expect and what you see, so that you can oppose them and see to which extent what you see is truly answering or addressing what you expect. And if it's not, it's about expressing this with, I would say, with genuineness. Right? It's not about attacking anyone. It's about helping that individual to grow himself or herself along his or her journey.
Okay. Well, of course, talking about balancing feedback, it sounds good, but I think it's something that we need to continue practicing. I think it's key, and potentially we need to realize that with that feedback, we are really adding and contributing to the growth and the development for someone else. Okay, I think that's a way that maybe it's good to approach it, and in that sense, then it's easier for us to give an opportunity feedback when it's needed. Okay, so you have lived in so many places. So where is your favorite place in the world?
Well, I don't have many favorite places in the world. I can mention a few ones, right? I lived in New York, and I enjoy New York. But at the time, I didn't have kids. I had my first one actually when I was based in New York. But that was a beautiful city when you don't have kids. I enjoyed Singapore, and I had kids at the time, and my wife and kids enjoyed Singapore as well. So these are two examples of beautiful place where we lived and where we had a great time. Obviously, it all depends on where you are in your life as well, right? You have different age, you have different family situation, you are with kids or without kids, and that can change also the whole atmosphere. So it really depends. I've had a great time in South Africa as well, for example. That's another example. I lived in Johannesburg, and that was a fantastic place. My wife was concerned by the safety issues, but I really enjoy life in South Africa. It was beautiful. So it all depends. I have many places that I like in the world.
No, that's true. And how do you like Panama? Now it's your new home.
Well, I like Panama. It's it's a small city. with a good quality of life. I think that it's also nicely connected to the rest of Latin America. So obviously, I'll explore Latin America and I'll travel into various countries. I moved to Panama without my kids, actually. Two of them are in the UK, one is in Singapore. So only with my wife, and that will allow us also to travel quite extensively, despite COVID in a way. So we're looking forward to visit this beautiful region.
Yeah, well, it's true. There are really beautiful places in Latin America, so you need to take this opportunity and travel around. And you, of course, need to come to Colombia. There are plenty here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, so going back to our topic of transformation leadership, everything it's about legacy. And, when we run transformation, it's also about, our vision, but also the legacy that we want to leave behind. So what is that legacy that you want to leave now in this role?
Well, I want to leave a legacy of having an impact on people and an impact on business. And normally the impact on business comes from the impact on people. That's the way it works. That's been my experience. And that's what I hope I will leave behind. Same with my children in a way. Who they are becoming in terms of adults is driven by the impact we had on them through their childhood over the last 20 years. So it's all about having an impact on people, because that's where it starts. And then these people having an impact on other people and on the business as well, and therefore leaving something different than when you arrived. And that's what animates me, that what gives me the energy. Back to your question on the energy, right? I mean, that's also something that gives me the energy day in, day out, to wake up in the morning and go after the agenda I want to bring forward.
Okay, well, that's really powerful. And one day you also mentioned your purpose, and indeed, I listened to one of the podcasts that you recently did, and there was something that really touched me from what you say. And you say that now in your career you are no longer in a race. That when you think about your career growth and your development, it's no longer the race that it used to be when you started. So why you say that? What would you advise to someone that is actually starting in that career, and is planning to go ahead in the career? So what has made that shift in your view?
Well, when I've always been very ambitious, and I'm still very ambitious. But when I was starting my career, I was somehow in a race indeed, going after the next job, going after the next promotion. And comparing myself with my peers, the chaps that went out of business school like me, that were in the same year, and so on and so forth. I started to realize that this was bringing zero added value whatsoever. I started to realize that obviously it was my life and no one else's life. I realized also that you don't walk in the street with a sign on your forehead saying who you are, where you are, which grade you have or you don't have, and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, I felt much better into my own skin. To the point where today I'm not in a race at all. I'm very comfortable with who I am and what I bring, and things will come as they come. There's an element of maturity, obviously, that came through that, right? I'm not anymore this young kid out of business school, and somehow it's better. I can tell you, it's much better. So my advice to everyone is indeed think twice before being in a race with anyone. And look at things with a bit of distance and maturity, understanding that you're building a life journey. You have to go through different steps. You will learn different things along that journey, and you will grow as an individual.
Okay, well, that's a really powerful advice. And when you think about your professional career, because you have been very successful. So beyond, of course, on taking risk and running transformations, what do you think were the key drivers of that success? You have come through a very long journey, and with a lot of expertise in all of those roles. So what do you think then has been all of those drivers of success for your career?
Well, I would say it's related to what we discussed earlier, which is having the right people in your team, making sure you're clear as to which kind of profile you need in your team and which people you need. Being clear on your own set of values, right, and sticking to your own set of values independently of the world around, so to speak. and what people say and what they think and whatever else. It's about being comfortable in your own skin to the point where you bulletproof yourself from anything. I think that has been important. Being ambitious is very important as well, because I don't think you achieve anything if you're not ambitious. You need to have a clear ambition. You need to be willing to achieve something. And once you want to achieve it, then it gives you the energy, back to the energy point, right? It gives you the energy to go with that transformation. Again, there's no magic bullet, right? It's a combination of things. Obviously, supporting people to also through their journey, so to speak, and for them to become grown-up individuals has been important as well, because people could become my team members could become who they wanted to be in a way. I supported them as much as I could, and I think that was also very rewarding to see them growing, to see them developing, and sometimes even leaving my team, but for a better opportunity, to the point where I was happy for them, right? So when you create this right environment where people understand that they can be themselves, they can have an impact, they are fully empowered to drive their own agenda as well, you actually generally get better results because people invest themselves differently into what they do.
Okay. I always talk about, the importance of having visibility within the organization when you are thinking about, developing in a career, especially in the corporate side. So, just managing well stakeholders, getting mentors, but also being very visible in the organization. So how do you think we can, advise people that are a little bit shy in that sense, to really take that option and become more visible for the organization? So you are in a very important position and very important role. So for you, what is important, or what you value then when someone is, raising the hand or making them visible for the organization?
Well, different people will value different things, right? So you can ask me the question, I'll give you my answer, but the reality is that different people will value different things. In my case, what I would value is the performance that you are bringing. To me, the fact that you're having an impact on business, and the fact that you can literally say there's a before and there's an after, is what I'm valuing. And making publicity of yourself, if you don't have the content and you don't have the result, brings you nowhere. On at least for me, the people that will be visible to me will be the one that will grow market share, that will bring the business to a next level in a way or the other. For me, it's not about the publicity you make of yourself. It's about the results you deliver, the achievements you have, so to speak, and you will come on my radar if indeed you bring this business improvement that I would expect from anyone in the team.
Okay, well, I think it's always very important to over-deliver or deliver above expectations. That's the thing, a must in this type of situations. Okay, so what makes you smile beyond market share growth?
What makes me smile? That's what you
smile. Yes.
What makes me smile? Well, there's plenty of things that make me smile. But the interaction with people make me smile a lot, to be honest. I just love interacting with people and having a great time with them. But yes, business improvement make me smile as well, obviously, and all kinds of improvement, right? That's something that I enjoy. What makes me smile as well is to see some people, literally growing. I have a few great examples of people in my team who grew, or I could accompany them in their journey, and that makes me feel good, makes me happy, and I have the feeling, the personal feeling that whatever happens, I will have left a fingerprint on them in a way or the other, and that is a rewarding feeling, I have to say.
Okay, well, that's powerful. Okay, so I think we're coming to the end of our conversation, but I just want to maybe ask you a last question. And I have heard from a lot of people that when we are running transformations, some people are afraid because usually transformation are very much related to, let's say, headcount reduction or job cuts or transformation in the roles. So how do you think we can approach that? Because, to help people to go through transformation, you need to understand also the role of the transformation itself, and sometimes we can impact people. So what is your view or your perception about, how we could, in that sense, as leaders, support these people through this transformation?
Well, I think we have to say that all these transformations, which are eventually impacting lives of people, are just opportunities. And I think it's a matter of how you look at this transformation, right? You can look at it putting yourself in the corner, being scared and afraid and literally frozen of the change that is coming, and therefore become the victim very easily. And you can look at it very positively and say, on the contrary, I take this as an opportunity to rebound. I take this as an opportunity to grow. I take this as an opportunity to have a different scope and learn different things. So it all depends on where you put yourself versus this change agenda, so to speak, and how you look at the world. I've decided a few years ago to look at change positively, whatever that is, and I take any of this change as an opportunity, despite what eventually some people might say in my close circle, so to speak, or might be said in the corridors of the office. Right? I will always look at change as an opportunity to grow personally, to drive my employability, to change my scope. And I will take this positively. So it's a matter of where you put yourself and how you look at it. I really believe it.
That's true. And when we talk about transformation, we always say that everything starts with the why. You mentioned that it's about the vision. Okay, so what is your why? What is that purpose that you want to give to others?
Well, it's impacting people. It's impacting people because that's the one thing that no one can take away. Right, and I actually landed to that conclusion a few years ago, looking at my kids, because the reality is that I could offer them whatever I want, so to speak, and I could make presents for whatever opportunity. Right, the point is not about making presents. The point is about, if you want to leave a legacy, it's about the experience you give them. It's about the opportunities you give them, and no one can steal that from them. Right. And that's what I've been trying to do with this international career, bringing them also into different places and prepare them for the world of tomorrow. And that's what I'm doing at work as well, trying to support the people I have in my team to be better leaders, and therefore prepare them for the future as well. So that's truly about impacting people.
That's true. Well, I have to say that's something that I missed a lot from that international career. It's about what you mentioned, the possibility of exchanging with so many people, different cultures, giving our kids the opportunity to just, have friends from all over the world. I remember that my son in Shanghai, he was studying with people from 56 nationalities. I mean, that was unbelievable. And when sometimes I see the pictures and I see them, it's like, oh my God, that's fabulous. You can just be sitting next to someone from Japan, from Korea, from India, or from Latin America. So that's fantastic. And that's something that I think it's unique, And every time that someone asks me for an advice about career, and I say, if you have an opportunity to work abroad and to go and experience, different countries, different cultures, you should take it, because it's such a rewarding experience personally and professionally. And as you said, it's a way in which we are also giving the lesson to our kids, but also growing on the personal side.
Correct. I would agree.
Yeah, no, totally. Okay, Stephane. Well, I want to thank you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for sharing all of these very strong insights with all of us. There are a lot of people that has joined this session, but this will stay in the social networks, so people could just simply see it in LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So thanks for sharing all of your learnings, for you sharing your thoughts as well, and for, of course, spending all the time with us in El Mirador del Éxito.
Thank you. You're welcome anytime.
Okay, thank you, Stephane. And thanks to everyone who has joined. Remember, if you like the content, please share it. And then just join us the next week with another session of El Mirador del Éxito. Good night to everyone, and thank you, Stephane.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.